All right, welcome everybody to the FTC meeting for L3Harris. We have several guest speakers today who are representing the Integrated Product Support Department. Are going to be talking about tech writing, management, engineering. This is session 2 of FTC's guest speaker meetings with L3Harris this week, and it's going to be a great time. We have 4 speakers tonight: Melissa Rios, Stewart Brandt, Stephan Nieves, and Luke Gilbert, and all of them are just fantastic. Can't wait for everyone to hear from them. And so, without further ado, there's going to be a lot of great information covered by every speaker: Melissa, Stewart, Stephan, Luke, and just can't wait for everybody to hear from what they have to cover. So, with that being said, would any speaker like to start, and then we can go on with our presentation, and then have some Q&A at the end too.
I guess I'll go ahead and get started. So I introduced myself previously, but my name is Melissa Rios. I am the Integrated Product Support, or IPS, Engineering Manager. We have over 108 employees in our department. They are located primarily in Melbourne, Palm Bay, Florida, but we have a substantial group up in the Virginia area, in the Chantilly, Sterling, and Dulles area. We have at least one member out in Mount Prospect. We have several people out in California, and one lucky person is out in Hawaii as well. We will be also growing by approximately 30 more people, getting another group from Northern Virginia and a group from Colorado Springs within the next 3 months or so. So our group is definitely growing. We are not all technical writers. We have trainers and logisticians, space vehicle operators, telemetry analysts, mission planners. So it's a well-rounded group. We align underneath an engineering department called specialty. So we are the engineers that do all the special work. So we are not just the tried and true electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. We are the special ones. So and I'm very proud of this department. We are a great department. I started here approximately 21 years ago as a technical writer. My degree, as I mentioned, is from UCF, as the Tech Comm degree. And I also learned to develop training, did instructional training, standing up in front of a class. Not my favorite thing to do, but I did it. Eventually moved into learning how to do logistics, which is sparing analysis, some provisioning, and other items that fall underneath the logistics avenue. Again, not a super strong area for me, but it's, you end up doing it because the programs need that support, and you're already there. Last couple of years, I have been doing a lot of business development work. So I've been working on the proposal side of the house, get the requests for proposals from our various customers, and identify the tasking that falls underneath the IPS department. And I do all of the proposal work, meaning how much is it going to cost us? How long is it going to take us to do the work? And writing up the technical approach on how we are going to accomplish the tasking, and put that forth to the customer for their review, and see whether they want to give us the money for the work. So that's been a lot of fun. And just here recently, matter of fact, in the last month, my engineering manager moved over to a different role, and I backfilled him, and I've now taken on the engineering management role. So that is a completely different avenue for me, and it is definitely a steep learning curve, but I have a lot of support, so that is definitely a plus. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm going to pass it over to Stephan.
Hello again, everybody. I already introduced myself, but I'll do so again. Name's Stephan Nieves. I've been with L3Harris for just over 6 years. Of those 6 years, I've been a group lead supervisor for about 4. And for a little over 3, I've been the lead over the Strategic Missions Division, which is a very interesting division within L3Harris. We build complex systems for very challenging customers. Quick comment, Melissa has recently been brought into our division past 3 years or so, 2 years, right?
It's about 3, yeah.
I remember she in a meeting said something that I'll never forget. She wasn't cleared. She didn't know what we did or who we did it for, but she said, "I always think you guys work for the Men in Black." I'm like, I'll never forget that. I'll use it someday, and I'm using it now. I work with an amazing team of, I want to say, around 20 people. Most of us are down here in the Palm Bay, Melbourne area. Some of us are up in the Northern Virginia area. What we do is very interesting. Of course, I can't go into detail, but suffice it to say, we work on very, well, complex systems that, if we don't do our job properly, might mean somebody loses their life ultimately, right? And so because of that, what we do is very important and it should be taken very seriously. As far as what my career path has been with L3Harris, like I stated, I've been a GL for about 4 years, but before then, I originally got hired into the company because I was a trainer. Part of my tasks in the military, which I should have said, prior US Army, all source intelligence analyst, but one of my side jobs was to be a counter IED trainer, but not only training people, but training the people that would go out and train others. So train the trainer certified. That's what I did for a while. Very interesting stuff, as you can imagine, but it means that you have to dig down and get very technical into the individual components of an IED. And an IED is an improvised explosive device, if you don't know what that is, right? So very interesting stuff. In the military, I also use what we call the Harris radio because it was a radio and it had the big Harris logo in a corner. I thought I would be coming in to train people on using radios. And thankfully for me, I got to exercise a whole different set of muscles and do very interesting stuff for the past 6 years. Educational work or other background, like I stated, I was a all-source intel analyst with the US Army. Enlisted in 2010, went to basic training 2011, deployed to Afghanistan in 2013 through 2014, and got to do some very interesting stuff there as well. My main tasks were briefing others and debriefing others before and after they returned from mission. And so, as you can imagine, I spent a lot of time in front of people before they went out on missions, and leaders before they had to make very important decisions. I was there briefing them on the information that would influence their decision. Fun fact, I missed Obama by 3 days. Yeah, I'm still bummed out about that. That would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I got to see him on TV briefing in the exact same area where I worked 3 days after leaving the country. So how that experience led into technical writing, I stated I got hired on as a technical trainer, but thankfully in our role, we do a little bit of both, right? So it's very good for you to write the documentation if you are going to train others on using our systems, because it just gives you an additional level of expertise with the system, right? You get very personal, you execute different tasks, and that way you're able to train others, not only on operating the system, but on how to handle different scenarios that might come up. And so that's how I ended up writing documentation and being a technical writer. I don't want to say I never thought that would be my career, but it was unexpected. And it's something that I've grown to enjoy very much. Ownership over a very large technical document, it's an important task. And fortunately, we are able to appreciate the degree of difficulty and honestly, the reward that comes with executing that task. But sometimes you have to convince our peers and sometimes even our customers of the importance of what we do. And that's something that I find myself doing a lot in my role. And I really like it, to be very honest with you. Sometimes people just get it after a quick conversation. They understand our role and why we place such importance on tasks that they might think, hey, if I'm building this system, how tough can it be to write a document to operate the system? Well, it's very tough, right? And once they get it, people tend to shift in behavior, and ultimately, in most cases, they look for us, right? They want to make sure we're there from start to finish, and that's also a very rewarding part of what I do. Other occupations or fields that technical writing can lead you into, well, Melissa just gave you two very good examples, right? So our prior, and it's not fair to say technical writing, right? Integrated product support, which is what we do, and technical writing is part of that. It's a very wide field, but people that come from our department have gone on to be deputy directors, EMs, like Melissa here. We've had people go on to systems engineering. We've had people go on to management roles outside of being an EM, like PEs. And I'm sure, Melissa, you've worked with people that ultimately ended up being PMs as well.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
there's a lot you can do if you want to grow or if you want to do something different, right? Because you can be the best possible technical writer we can have, and that's also very, very rewarding, at least within our company, right? What's it like working in the defense industry? It's very interesting. Coming from the military and being the person that's been out there in the field, I didn't quite understand that being a civilian and doing what we do, I can get the same level of satisfaction in completing my everyday task. And that was also very unexpected. I've had peers that were Navy pilots and combat pilots at that, and they've been doing what we do for a very long time, and they've said, I enjoy this much more. It is something that was unexpected, but it is very rewarding and very exciting in its own right. Kinds of projects that I've worked on with L3Harris, I can't really elaborate on, but we'll leave it at they're complex systems. Different sections of the system will have their own subject matter experts, and a very important part of our job is to make sure they all consider every portion of the system by the time we're training people on how to operate it and by the time we've completed testing. In my experience, software engineers, they think of the system from a software perspective. Same thing with mechanical, same thing with well, systems, not quite, because it is their job to integrate everything. But when people come to the table with the engineering experience, they tend to come to the table with their perspective, and they don't really consider the mechanical perspective if they're a software guy or vice versa. But it is our job to come in and make sure everybody's talking to each other, because we have to make sure this document flows correctly and every single portion of the system is touched on properly. So also a very rewarding part of what we do. Recommendations for the students that want to be a technical writer or to be at L3Harris in general. Well, if you want to be at L3Harris, the first step would be to apply for an intern program. So if you haven't yet done so, I would suggest you get in touch with John or anybody else that you know of that has gone through the course. I am very sure they can give you direct insight as to what that role looks like, right? What being an intern in L3Harris looks like. And if you are successful, then you might be able to join us permanently after you graduate. Yeah, that's what I think I have at this point. So more than happy to answer any questions at the end. I should have sent it over to somebody, right? So I'll do the same. Stewart, you're up.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I want to thank y'all for having us. We appreciate the you know, those of us who like to talk to people like me appreciate another opportunity to talk to more people and hopefully influence some of the decisions you'll make over the next year or several years of your growing career. So good luck with that. But I did want to say, you know, I didn't start out thinking in college. Well, first off, let me back up. So my career started, and I know I don't want to take up too much time of that stuff, but I started off in college as a music major many years ago. I guess that's left brain, right, to right brain. Then I said, well, I think I want to do something in engineering. I don't know what I want to do, but so I started to go for my AS in pre-electrical engineering, then transferred to another university and went toward math, realized math is great. But I want to finish a degree. So I went back and completed my CIS degree at night. By this time, I already had a family and kids and a wife who had already graduated and was teaching also. So wanted to finish that part. My point is, I was all over the place, had no idea where I wanted to go. All I knew is we needed money, and that was what I needed to do. So, you know, after I did that, I have lots and lots of careers choices early on in my life. I worked at the bank. One of the best things I ever did for my career and my life, personally and professionally, was I joined the Georgia Air National Guard as a as an 18-year-old kid, and learned communications electronics, and thought, oh man, I'm not smart enough to do this kind of stuff. So let's fast forward 32 years, 9 months and 16 days. I just retired last Monday. Again, that was a long time ago. But the point is, all of that stuff made me understand and appreciate what it is to be a technical writer, to be a logistics person, to be ILS or IPS, as Melissa said, integrated product support. There's all these things that most of the core engineering people, managers and stuff, and then program managers and project engineers don't necessarily understand all the pieces of IPS. So the more we get engage ourselves, step into where those things happen, the more we realize more of a difference we can make. And so again, I have lots of experience doing other things. I consider myself a well-rounded person. I'll work on cars and generators and work on plumbing and stuff. I was an electrician, licensed electrician. I learned how to do that. And so there's lots of different things that feed into all of the technical or the expertise that we have. Never once considered myself as a technical writer until I took a job as a field engineer at a company out of Orlando, where I had the opportunity to train the U.S. military, foreign militaries, and some foreign oil industry civilians. And then in the off time, it's all about, when you get into the professional world, it's all about direct labor and charge numbers and all of this kind of stuff. So in our off time, we had to also fill in the gaps where technical writing was, or doing proposal work, or any number of things, maintenance planning and stuff like that. So fast forward that I did that for 10 years. Had done worldwide traveling all over the world, had plenty of that, great opportunities, very cool job. But I was ready to settle down, and I had the opportunity about 5.5 years ago to come to L3Harris. And little did I know that all of what I had been doing for the last 15, 20 years of my life professionally had a name, and it was called IPS. And so I just fell right into this position. I enjoy working with L3Harris. It's a great company. But like anything else, anything in the military, I tell I have a 19-year-old daughter who's in college. You're going to get out what you put into it. You expect to get something for free, you're not going to get it. You got to put in the effort. And so my advice to you, short of questions at the end of this, is, figure out, I don't know if you've, any of you, there's a good book out called What's Your Why? Just Google it. It's a great book. You figure out what your why is. Everybody knows, a small group of people know what they do, and then they know how they do it as a smaller group. but very few of those people know why they do it. So figure out why that is, and you'll have your career. So anyway, I'll let Luke have it next. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stewart. Yeah, so I'm Luke Gilbert. Like I said before, I graduated from College of Charleston in South Carolina back in 2011. I had a major in business administration and a minor in logistics, but I really leaned more heavily on the logistics part once I got more into it at the end of my college career. So it was a field I was most interested in, and I thought that it would be the best way to find employment because I was graduating right after the 2008 recession. So I was trying to find the easiest way in to steady employment. My career path at L3Harris, when I first came on, I was brought on as a technical writer, and I found that was not too difficult changeover because even though I was more hopefully looking for things in import, export, transportation, things like that, when you're technical writing, you can almost think of it like doing a big college assignment 2 or 3 times a year where you learn everything about a specific subject or a device or a technique, then you write a big multi-hundred page paper about it, explaining every little piece and part. And then when you're done, you sort of pack it up, you have it all nice and ready to go, and you deliver it. And usually you sort of make small updates on in the future, and then something new that you then write a big document on. So let's see. One thing I found that really helped out with my job was being multi-talented in different things. When I was being interviewed here at Harris, one of the things that made my resume stand out was that I had experience with video editing, because I did a lot of video editing as a hobby when I was in high school. It was just something to do to, I had a pretty good computer at the time, and both of my parents were into videography and they had cameras around. So it was easy for me to get access to, programs like Adobe Premiere and, digital video cameras to learn how to edit. And they were pretty sharp at it too. So I just sort of picked up what I could pull from them, which was really handy. And I've had the chance to actually use that expertise a few times now. I've done a couple little minor video training modules, which is really great for the customers, because I've talked to some customers where they're impressed that we have, color pictures in our manuals. So being able to introduce something as, high tech as moving video synchronized with audio is a real great way to add some value to your project. Let's see. And yeah, so I would say if you're interested in technical writing, I would say it's a really good time to try and boost up any of your hobbies that you might be able to pivot into, talents that you can say like, hey, here's something I'm really good at. It doesn't have to be something like video editing. If you have any experience with graphical editing, if you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, those are great things to have under your belt, because oftentimes being able to touch up or go back and polish up a couple pieces, whether it's photography or image or graphic or something like that, that's helpful. Having good, design theory and not even like art theory, but just sort of instructional theory of knowing, what kind of, technical drawing is more easier to read and understand than others. So that's a great thing to work on. I would also really highly recommend finding out your weaknesses and working on those as well. I was very introverted when I was in college. So while I was paying them all the money I had, I made sure to take a lot of public speaking classes. So I had a much easier time talking to people, being familiar with people, without getting, jammed up and spooked when I had talking to a group setting. And when you're a technical writer, you have to do a lot of, one-on-one with subject matter experts to really pull all the information that they have in order to make your material better. But also, I've had to work as a trainer as well. And you can be teaching up to a dozen, 20, 30 people at one time. And you don't want to have flies in your stomach when you're on the clock and you've only got 5 or 6 days to teach a group of people everything there is to know about this project or system. Well, let's see. What's it like working in the defense industry? It is a lot of extra pressure, and it's a lot of extra paperwork. You have to be prepared to have a lot of things ready to go. You have to be not afraid of reading long, boring documentation. You have to make sure you have a really good sort of mental library for a lot of processes and systems and programs, where you always make sure you follow things in the right lockstep order. You don't just wing things, because even though you can make a lot of short-term gains, later on down the line, if you're missing on a specific type of formulation or documentation, or you just don't have your bullet points looking right, you can get dinged for that. So it's really important to make sure that you follow everything by the book, keep to the standard, don't get too creative with things. A little creativity is okay, but don't go wild with it. It's really important. Kind of projects do I have worked on? So I've done technical training. I've taught people how to use things. I've also been the one to write up user manuals, operator manuals, hardware repair manuals. For a brief time, when I was working with Stephan Nieves, we got to work in the same program together. And while he was doing some of the technical writing, I was doing some of the physical handling, shipping, and transportation. So I would be responsible for truckloads of equipment coming in or coming out, handling all the paperwork for that, writing up manifests for that. And I think one of my proudest moments is when we had a semi-truck come in, and I had beforehand done all the volume and scale and whatnot to make sure that I could fit everything in the truck. We would have to order 2 trucks. And I did all the math, and I said, okay, well, if we have 71 boxes, a volume out is out like this, it should fit in the truck. We can only need 1 truck. When it came rolling in, we started packing in all these boxes. It gets more and more and more full. I was like, oh geez, oh man, we might have to like borrow an SUV from the Hertz rental and have it follow the truck on the way up. And as they were packing the last box, they were just able to close the door with a little bit of extra force to lock it in. I thought, whew, okay, I did everything right. I didn't underestimate the volume of those boxes. So that was really satisfying to see those go. And some of these shipments could be, not just high in volume, high in value. There's been a few times where I've totaled up the total value of some of the equipment that we're sending, and there'd be up to $2 million worth of equipment in there. So you want to always make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that there's no, little fat fingers on your numbers and your values and things like that. So you can have hundreds of individual items you have to account for, and you got to make sure that you check them off and cross them off as you put them in and as they get taken out, because you don't want, to actually put a 2 where a 1's supposed to be. And by the time your shipment arrives, if people are going on a wild goose chase, tearing down the whole truck, trying to figure out where it fell off or disappeared to. Let's see. Recommendations for students seeking to work as a technical writer and being L3Harris. Like Stephan said, applying is great. I had to interview at Harris twice before they were offered me a job. So if your first plan doesn't work, just got to be tenacious, got to keep trying, don't give up. And not just for Harris, in whatever you do, make sure you always follow through and don't just fold at the first sign of trouble. Showing tenacity and perseverance is a really great quality that I think people pick up on pretty fast. And I think that's it for me. I'll leave the rest of the time up for open questions.
All right, thank you all. And yeah, those are great. Those are really great presentations. I love hearing from each of you. And I think, yeah, we still have a good amount of time for questions. And I can pass it over to Juliana to, field any from the group as well.
Hello. Hopefully my mic is working now. This is sort of the point in the panel when we're kind of opening up to questions. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to either type them out in the chat and we can read them, or you could kind of just do like an open mic and just say them out loud.
I would just like to say thank you so much to each and every one of our panelists for today. It was really insightful listening to your experiences and advice for new students and people who are interested in Tech Comm. My question for today would be, what are some of the workflows like at L3Harris, and what kinds of collaboration typically take place between engineers, subject matter experts, and technical writers.
I don't mind fielding that one unless somebody else wants to go. I will tell you that the communication between engineers with anybody is difficult, never mind IPS. But that being said, you do, to use Luke's word, you have to be tenacious with them too. You have to go in and ask them the pointy questions. The other part of that is you have to be available. You have to make yourself available. You have to insert yourself into what's happening to find out what it is that the system or the system is supposed to do. As a technical writer, you're going to be charged with making sure it could be the military, it could be a civilian contractor, it could be another government agency. The program that I'm working on now is not the military, but it is two departments within the U.S. government, and they want to know how the systems work. They want good directions, and for the most part, they're not idiots. They want to know. They know how to read. They want to know what the system is. They know what they're asking for, and they know when it's not doing what you say it's supposed to do. So have to insert yourself to those.
Yep. So I can kind of follow on to that. As I said, I've been with L3Harris for a very long time and worked many different products and different product lines, different customers. And some engineers can be very friendly, very forthcoming, and very helpful. Others can be extremely prickly, to just put it nicely. I actually worked a program where the subject matter expert was the lead engineer for the product that I was trying to write the user manual for. I had specific questions in regard to the software, and he wouldn't give me the time of day. So I actually asked questions of others that worked with him. How do I approach him? He's very difficult to approach. He won't even acknowledge that I exist when I come to his doorway. And so somebody gave me the recommendation of have 3 questions, specific 3 questions that you want answered. Approach his door first thing in the morning, tell him I have 3 questions only. And if you answer them, I will leave you alone. And that's exactly how I approached him. I said, I have 3 questions for you. I will not ask more than 3 questions. Just give me the answers to these 3 questions. I won't even take 5 minutes of your time. I asked him the 3 questions. He gave me the answers. I said, thank you very much. And I walked away. I came back a couple of weeks later, had 3 more questions, did the exact same approach. That time he was a little friendlier. He was a little more forthcoming with information, and he actually gave me 7 minutes of his time. So the next time that I had to come to him, he wasn't as prickly. He actually let me ask 4 questions. And then after that, he actually was coming to me saying, hey, I have a new update. I have some new software. Let me show you how it is. Actually, to the point where the other technical writers on the team kind of got their noses out of joint because he was talking to me and he wouldn't talk to them. But I figured out how to approach him. Others, you just have to be super annoying. Other programs that I worked on, my deadline was lockstep with software. I needed to know how the screens worked. I needed to know how the functionality worked. Software team was not explaining it. I was in the software. I was breaking the software. I was coming to them with problems. I was coming to them with issues. I was pointing out misspellings, and they were getting really annoyed with me, but I didn't care. And I would just sit there behind them or next to them and say, tell me what that does. Tell me what that does. Tell me what that does. And then the next program that we worked together, they immediately just included me on everything. They're like, she's going to just annoy us, so we might as well just have her in these meetings. So you have to figure out the approach. That's just the best idea. You have to figure out the best approach for the team that you're working with. In regards to our department, we are very friendly, very helpful. We all work different programs. We all have different specialities. We all have different backgrounds and insights. So anytime somebody needs help or guidance, or, hey, I'm facing this problem, put out the email, put out an IM on Teams, and I don't think anybody has ever said, I wasn't ever able to get help. Somebody in the department will step forward and help. So that is one thing that's awesome about our department.
That has been my experience as well. If I had a nickel for every time I've been called persistent by somebody on the program, right? And more often than not, they weren't meaning it in a good way, but I take it in a good way. I really enjoy it when they call me persistent. And another very important thing that Melissa just touched on, but I try to approach it from a different perspective, right? So building rapport with people. More often than not, you're going to have something in common with almost everybody in that room. It might be difficult to get to, but once you get to it, you're able to build a relationship that will get that person thinking of you in a positive way, and not just as the technical writer that's, messing with me every morning. And so that's what I try to do, right? And another thing that I use strategically is lunch. My lunches are strategic, right? If I need to speak with you, or I need to build rapport, or just I want to get to know you, we'll go grab lunch, and it works very well in my experience.
Coffee works too. I do that a lot. Hey, let's go get Starbucks, because we have a Starbucks on campus, by the way. It's really cool. So yeah, it's amazing how many people drink coffee.
I do love coffee myself. Thank you all for your insight and a glimpse of a day in the life at L3Harris. I really appreciate it.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, guys. If we can't answer, we'll state it. No fears there.
And
Yes,
if you do
I
have
question.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So how complex is the information that you have to break down to simplify it so your buyers understand? And so does it take a lot of time and effort to reduce the jargon down to simpler terms? I know every tech writer will have a bit of a challenge when facing that.
I can chip in for this one. So sometimes you'll have to do your own research at home when you jump into a new program or a new field, because you may have thought you knew everything there was to know about, say, let's say shortwave radios and how they work. And then you start working with a team that makes the Falcon series of radios and transmitters and amplifiers. And then you think, oh my gosh, there is so much more here than, what I thought about, and, what I learned from, basic movies and television, things like that. Oh man, these things are really complicated. What do you mean there's computers in the radios now? I thought there was just like a crystal that you pass electricity through and it vibrated funny. So when you work as a technical writer, and one that especially gets to, move from job to job, I've had the fortune or the misfortune, depending on, whose perspective you're looking at, about every 2.5 years, I move into a different product line and a totally different field. And I've had to sort of learn a lot of new things from scratch that I thought I knew about just from, general technical awareness. But then once you start really doing those deep dives down, you find that it is so much more that is under the surface that your average person will have no idea. And being able to translate all of that information into non-jargon and actual understandable lay speak is one of the whole reasons why you work as a technical writer, is to try and dispel these sort of technical jargon and illusions and bring it right down to brass tacks. Just let the people know at the end of the day, okay, but how do I push the button and make it do the thing that I want it to do? And how do I do it every time? So that's definitely one of the biggest things you bring to add value to the product as a tech writer, is being able to convert madness into something more understandable.
Thank you so much for that answer.
I think something else that you can do, depending on how much you want to understand about a system that you're writing about, is break it down into the simplest things. When you're up in a plane, you're flying, you look down out of the window at 40,000 feet, all you see is a speck, right? That's what you want to grasp first. You want to grasp that first speck. Generally, what does the shape of the earth look like from here? And then as as you're coming into land, you start to see things clearer. You start to see cars and stuff like that. So just, break it down into small chunks. I have a saying I like to say, when things are monstrous and so big, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So take it slow.
That's definitely true. Thank you for that. I was wondering, are there specific software or tools that you all would recommend for students to learn today? I remember that Luke touched a bit upon Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop for graphical editing, but are there any other tools that you use, such as Madcap Flare?
Adobe FrameMaker, Adobe Dreamweaver, Confluence, RoboHelp, by the way, Luke, I need to talk to you about RoboHelp. Let's see, Excel, believe it or not, Visio, Dreamweaver, Illustrator, Photoshop. I know I'm missing some stuff. XML and HTML, if you can learn that kind of coding, it's key. So a lot of our documentation is in HTML or XML, structured authoring. So that's some areas that I would recommend. But yeah, if you can get your hands on FrameMaker, that's in Dreamweaver, those are two, and Confluence, those are three tools that we're seeing a lot of use in documentation development.
And
Awesome.
actually, in talking about tools, when you're a student, you can get software more often than not through your university for free. I know that was my experience with FIT. And so if you want to play around with tools and you have your student email account, take advantage of that. And then on the HTML and XML side, codecademy.com, YouTube, Khan Academy, right? Like these are skills you can get for free if you put in the time. So
Yep.
I absolutely echo what Alyssa just stated, and I suggest you research those.
Yeah, and if you are able to get a copy of Adobe FrameMaker, there are 2 excellent introductory FrameMaker trainings on YouTube for free, and they are sponsored by Adobe. It's an Adobe certified trainer, so all you have to do is look for Introduction to Adobe FrameMaker, and it is on YouTube for free. They're about an hour. How long are they, John? About an hour and 40 minutes each lesson, right? I sent them to John. I told him to watch them. So, there was something else I was going to recommend, but yeah, it's gone. Oh well.
I'm going to recommend one additional thing, and it's unrelated to the topic at hand. Their university, college in general, they provide opportunities for you to learn about a lot of stuff, right? There are classes for almost anything. And so I challenge you to take a class that you want to take, not only one that you have to take. Because as an adult, I find myself going back and trying to teach myself on different topics, whether it be salesmanship, leadership, right? These are very important skills that I didn't think of when I was going to college, right? But now they are skills that are needed on a daily basis. And you learn by fire, or you learn by educating yourself when you have time. And I suggest you do that.
And
Definitely.
as the oldest guy in the room, I think I'm going to say it doesn't get any easier when you get older. learn as much as you can, suck the university dry, get anything you can out of it while you're young. And when you get the first degree, don't be settled with that. If you have any interest, do it when you're young. I say that I just started my master's program. I'm 52. I'll be 52 in July, but it doesn't get any easier. So do it while you're young. I'll echo also one of the things that Melissa mentioned was, like Word and PowerPoint and Excel. Excel particularly is so incredibly powerful. It can do so much for you, not just in tech writing, but in IPS in general. So I would challenge you to go and figure out how to do that coding and be the best one you can possibly be. And as I tell my airmen and my kids and people around me, be the one that's going to go after every bit of this. Get as much education as you can. You're going to get out what you put into it, and be the best one. If you're flipping burgers to make ends meet, be the best burger flipper they've got. They can't possibly let you go. And I mean that, because unfortunately, the flip side to that is it's a money making business, and you don't want to be that one sitting at the bottom of the totem pole. You want to be the one at the top that's getting promoted. So
Yep.
I'll get off of my soapbox.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised how much as a tech writer you're in Excel. I think engineers love Excel. They're always in Excel. So if you want data, you end up in Excel. So, and now I think I spend more time in Excel than I do in anything else. And I'm so over Excel, but
Congratulations.
yes, it's great. But yeah, if you're the one who knows how to do Excel, people like me who are in Excel all the time and just trying to figure out how to make something work, will be going to you all the time. How do I make it do this? And how do I make it do that?
Thank you all so much. I didn't know we had so many resources available to us. Everything is just wonderful to hear. Thank you again.
Adding on to like the resources, do you guys have any more like supplemental readings you would recommend, or would you say more like tutorial based, like looking online ourselves?
I would say if you have an interest in anything, turn off the TikTok and turn on the YouTube, and just YouTube a video of something you have interest in. If you can ignore all the other funny stuff that's a waste of time, that has no value, adds no value to your life, turn it off. It's easier said than done. We all do it, but there's those tools that are freely available. I didn't own a computer until I was well into my 20s, and they didn't exist, is why. But y'all are in such a good position. I see you smiling, Stephan. Stop it. But I mean, y'all are in such a good spot to do it all over again. As older adults, it would be awesome. So the world is at your fingertips, literally. Being cheesy, I guess, but.
Thank you for the response.
And yeah, sometimes the learning can be fun. I've been trying to find the name of this one tutorial channel on YouTube. It's really nice and condensed, short Excel tutorial videos about how to do some of the easy functions that look really cool that it's can impress people with. But the presentation is done really well. The guy teaching is sort of dressed up like a riverboat gambler, and oh, he's so funny. If you can find, I'm going to try and find that guy's name so I can put it in the chat log, because he'll teach all sorts of really cool functions, and the videos are like 3 to 6 minutes long each. So, it's just a little bite-sized snack.
Luke is our go-to person for all of the cool ways to learn new things. So
Tool guy.
he is our tool guy for specialty engineering. So yeah.
I was raised on Bill Nye the Science Guy, so I'm all about edutainment.
They may not know who Bill Nye is.
I think they do. Even my kids know who Bill Nye is.
Don't make me feel old now. I can't handle that.
You're not allowed.
Oh no, I grew up with Bill Nye. I love Bill Nye.
The one thing I will say about technical writing, if you you have to have some kind of an interest in science and technology. Otherwise, it's not the right field for you. I've had a couple of people who ended up getting a tech writing degree, came to work, and it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. They wanted to do more marketing or media. They didn't really understand or grasp the technology side of things, and it was boring to them. So if you've got that kind of a mind where you enjoy science, you enjoy technology, you love getting hands-on to that kind of stuff, tech writing is definitely the field for you. And as I mentioned, I started as a tech writer, learned how to develop training, got I did training. That's not my strong suit. I really don't enjoy it like Luke and Stewart do, and Stephan, but I can do it. I'm better with one-on-ones. Ended up, moving into other areas just because of curiosity of, and enjoyment of learning new technology. So that is definitely something I strongly encourage, that, if you've got that kind of a way of thinking about things, and tech writing is the field for you. And there's, no ends to where you can take that. And then add in a little plug. We do have an intern position that is opening up this summer for technical writing. I believe John has shared that flyer, and as well as the link. You shared the link, correct? All right. So as long as you are a full-time student, it will be 10 weeks with us in plant in Palm Bay. So we will get you interacting with the team, interacting on various programs, obviously of the unclassified nature, and just getting you some experience with the real world technology. So definitely encourage anybody who has an interest in that to please let John know, and he will get you in touch with Melissa Olds, who presented last night. And then on top of that, we're always looking for new college grads. So anybody who is getting ready to graduate, feel free to reach out to John. He knows how to get in hold of me.
Yeah, get your last career first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a great team to work on. And also just gonna Melissa and I sometimes say we're trying to grow the UCF squad. So another plus to it. But yeah, everyone on the team is great to work with. Like especially everyone here tonight. Like such a great team.
I mean, since there's dead air, I'll talk, but I want to commend John. From my perspective, I've had John working on a document for me on a program, and it looks fantastic. So whatever y'all are learning there at UCF, and the training that you're doing, and that, so you can immediately add value to the programs that we offer here. And so I want you to know that you're not coming in necessarily not knowing anything. You're coming in adding value. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you, Stuart. And I kind of want to piggyback off of what you said earlier about, how to approach. Because for me, sometimes, getting onto this program and the last program I was on, it can definitely be intimidating to like look at a big document at first, but approaching it piece by piece, and talking to the team, it definitely helps. And just being able to work with like you and the team is, I say that to anybody looking for the internship. Like, you don't have to worry about being on your own about things. It's approachable because there's always support, and you do things piece by piece. So yeah, just wanted to piggyback off of that. And thank you, Stewart.
Yeah, John was our intern in 2021 and then came in as a new college grad last summer. And I think it was within a couple of months that we had you supporting the NASA Orion program and the test team there. They've really put you through the ringer there for a while with their short turnaround times and their expectations, but John was able to hit the ground running and deliver that. And, he's been transitioned over to support Stewart on his program. So he's done a really great job for us. It was a great transition from being an intern into a new college grad for us here at L3Harris.
Yeah, that was it was a lot, but it was a good learning experience. I'll say that. Like because I guess for context too, I joined that program when it was pretty much in the last stages of development when it came to the documentation and just everything when it comes like the program was completing and I was called in to help support the tech writing efforts. And yeah, so I joined and I was like, what can I help with? And it was pretty much, here's everything. Can you help us out? And I was like, sure, I'll do what I can. And it was a lot of work, but it was definitely very valuable work. And like the more challenge there is to a program, the more you get to learn from it. I'll say that. And yeah, the programs at L3Harris are like, they're all just super interesting things to work on too. Whether you have engineering background or not, I'm like, you bring, like Stewart said, you bring something to the table and you connect with it either way. So definitely good learning experiences. But yeah, I think since we're past our hour and each of you gave such great responses too, I guess we can close the Q&A there. I can pass it over to Juliana and we can call it a night and start doing some closing. Oh, I see you unmuted, but I don't think it's going. Oh, I do see lots of thank yous in the chat though. Oh yeah, this is super valuable. Oh yeah, even more thank yous. Yeah, it was such a good showing. Just something like this. I love being able to, see the connections being made between like each of you, Melissa, Stephan, Stewart, Luke, Jessica, like our students over here at UCF. And who knows, one of you might, like if you apply, might join the team and might not be the last you see of everybody. And also just feel free to reach out to the team. Like I can put you in touch with them, or like a lot are on LinkedIn too. Another good way to connect. Mo from yesterday is also available, and she's also on the team, so connect that way. But yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for setting this up for us, John. Thank you so much for having us. I am on LinkedIn, so if any of you want to send me a connection request, I'm very open for that. And definitely anything that I can do to encourage you or help you out as you continue in your learning of technical communications, feel free to reach out.
All right, awesome. It's much appreciated. And yes, from each of us, like each of us members and, everyone on the leadership team and everything like that, from me, Joy, Chantal, Cassandra, Andrew, Juliana, Nyana, yeah, everyone here. It was a great conversation tonight and everyone definitely appreciates it. So yeah, looking forward to future connections and, everything that might be to come too. So yeah, I guess any last comments from anybody tonight before we close things off?
Thank you all for giving us the opportunity. Thanks for being here, and we're here if needed.
Awesome. All right.
Guys,
Much appreciated.
you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just going to say likewise, thank you all for your time and insights.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone. As someone who's like minoring in Tech Comm, I'm always curious and like eager to learn as much as I can about the industry, about companies, about what I can do. So it was really nice getting to hear all this information and finally being like, okay, I understand. So thank you so much.
Awesome. And yeah, thank you again to everybody. This was a super great meeting. So yeah, we can close things off, but yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Looking forward to, continuing to collaborate on things and, all the talking if you apply to the internship. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all next time, whenever we next meet up.
Thank you again.
do the
Have a
same.
nice evening.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye. Have a nice
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.